All right, so one of the most commonly asked questions that I get way too often is how the hell do we use other people's content and make money? How do we avoid copyright and make millions and millions of dollars? Well, I broke down the exact strategy that we use as faceless automation experts. It allows us to leverage other people's content safely and make money by basically originally transforming this content and allowing us to monetize it with YouTube and get paid through the AdSense program. So I'm going to break it all down. If you're an absolute beginner, you've never heard of this business model before, or have just started learning about it and are just genuinely curious, how the heck are people getting away with stealing people's content, like going and just stealing raw clips of movies and TV shows and sports, and how the heck are they making money? Which is a very valid question. And that's what kind of posed the idea to create this video, was to just help everyone understand fundamentally how this YouTube automation business model works, how we're able to leverage the system and mechanism that allows us to steal content ethically, make it transformative, and allow us to monetize these videos so that both the original party can make their money and we can also make our money as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So let's talk about how faceless channels avoid copyright and make millions of dollars. That's the main topic you guys all want to know. So this is what I call the paradox of viral theft. Okay, so if you've ever wondered how channels like these channels below, all are able to make money without actually creating the videos themselves, but actually leveraging other people's content, then in today's video, I'm going to share it all with you. And by the way, if you're interested even remotely of doing this business model correct and making sure you never get in trouble, never get hit with copyright or worse, lawsuits, make sure to watch this video to the end. If you can't sit through a video like this up until the end, you are going to fall into a lot of mistakes. You're going to run into a lot of mishaps, because realistically, this is a very important topic to understand fundamentally, because you could find yourself accidentally, one, doing it yourself, using copyright content incorrectly and getting in trouble, or hiring a team of editors to do it for you and not knowing exactly how to diligently check and audit their work to make sure that it's copyright free. Because unbeknownst to you, you could hire somebody and then you could submit this content, post it online, and get in trouble. They don't care if you hired an editor. It's your content. It's your responsibility to make sure it's copyright free and it's transformative and original. And so you need to understand what that means and how that works, and that's what this video is designed to do. So guys, this faceless channel over here earns tens of thousands of dollars monthly, but none of the footage that they use on their channel is theirs. I'm talking about this channel called Courtroom Consequences. They do tens of millions of views every single month, okay? As you can see here, this month they have done $63,000 in revenue with 12 million views at an RPM of $7.49. What that means, RPM, is essentially the amount that we receive after YouTube takes the cut, right? So there's CPM and RPM. CPM is usually 45% more than RPM. So imagine this number plus 45% is the amount that YouTube takes. And then this is what our take home is, RPM, which is revenue per mil. So basically every single 1,000 views, we get paid $7.50. That's specific to this niche. Sometimes it pays $3, sometimes it pays $15. So this is the RPM. That's how YouTube pays us. How we make money on YouTube is actually just because of the advertising, right? So we get paid every single time somebody decides to run an ad on our video, which is always going to happen. That's the point of YouTube. That's how this thing is a money-making machine, right? So every single time 1,000 views hits, we make $7.50. And so you multiply it by 12 million views and you get $65,000 every single month for using other people's content, right? So how are these channels not shadow banned, not banned at all? Now, how are they not getting hit with any copyright claims? Because they're not. They're not getting hit with any copyright claims. Well, there's an entire hidden industry called YouTube automation. And that's what today's video's purpose is about, is to teach you how we, myself and all my hundreds of students and thousands of other people out there are leveraging this mechanism, this system that's been in place for a very long time, allowing us to legally and ethically create content, leverage other people's content, and make money, a lot of it, right? And what is the fuel behind it, right? This legally risky, creatively outsourced, algorithm-optimized content. Let's talk about what YouTube automation actually is and how to create faceless channels with this business model, all right? So what it really leverages here, the main mechanisms, is that you're not actually using any original footage. Everything that you use is someone else's. You're borrowing content, we call it, okay? You can also outsource your production. So you creating the videos doesn't have to be done by your own hands. You can actually hire people and delegate most of the work out to freelancers overseas. Your script writing, your voiceover, your editing, your thumbnails, your topic ideation, your title creation, your channel management, your project management. Basically, most of the nitty-gritty fundamentals of this business can be delegated by someone else, which makes it a pretty convenient business model if you're looking to make passive cash, which is why this business model is blowing up now in 2025. All right, you can also use AI assistants to do stuff like mass scripting. ChatGPT can script your videos. 11 Labs can do your voiceovers. There's a lot of AI softwares that allow you to basically streamline a lot of the work that you normally have to do or hire by using AI, which again just makes this business model so much more elite than it ever has been, because now we have the capacity to leverage AI. So here's exactly how all of this works. All right. First thing is that you're identifying popular subjects for business opportunities. Now, a business opportunity doesn't have to talk about business, right? An opportunity is potentially in any niche, right? So you have your history, you have your sports, you have your true crime, you have your celebrity. There's so many different topics or niches you can get into. And I call these trending topics. And again, trending doesn't necessarily need to mean in demand currently. Something that's trending means something that's in demand in general. And this should be rather be spoken as in-demand topics. Things that people want to watch, content that people want to consume, right? All coming into the profitable automation business. The second thing is focusing on niches with high advertising revenue, right? Because if you get yourself into a niche such as children's niche, and I've talked about this in previous videos, I don't suggest you go in there because you're only going to get paid 80 cents to maybe $1.50 per 1,000 views. So looking at something like this, where you saw $7.50, imagine getting paid only $1 for 1,000 views versus $7. That's 7 times the amount of income instead of only getting paid $1 for the same effort, right? So focusing on niches with high advertising revenue. Now, by the way, the reason why some things differ, how much they get paid, is because of who's watching, right? The buying power and the intent behind the viewer will determine how much YouTube is willing to pay for, or the advertisers are willing to pay for it. So if it's kids content, of course, they're not going to place, all these mega companies are not going to pay a lot of money to compete for ad space because there's kids watching. Versus like finance videos, they're going to pay $10, $20, $30 for 1,000 views because people who watch finance videos typically have either more buying power or have more buying interest, right? The interest levels are different, and it's typically more mature audiences, et cetera, et cetera. So all these reasons will help you earn a larger CPM, higher RPM per video, right? Then we have utilizing external talent for efficient operations. Like I just mentioned, you can hire an entire team from the Philippines to do all the content for you at a fraction of the cost of either doing it yourself or hiring from the West. So that's the beautiful part about this, is that we're able to delegate to, second, third world countries, which allows us to have this massive discrepancy between how much we spend on the content to get created versus how much we can earn, right? So my students on average spend between $300 to $500 a month. And from that overhead, are able to make back thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And so this makes this whole business model extremely lucrative for the average person who can only invest a few $100s into some sort of investment vehicle and extract thousands of dollars out, right? You can outsource everything. You don't have to do your work yourself. I don't make a single video myself. My students don't make their videos. They delegate everything out to freelancers, and some of the stuff they use AI because it's easy and it's cheap. Then you have adapting business models for growth and innovation, right? So the whole thing is all based on transformation. As long as you're following the rules of transformation, you will be perfectly fine. And I'm going to teach you guys that today. That's the point of today's video, is to teach you what transformation means. So copyright, fair use, and the 4 pillars. That's the next topic for the rest of the video. So there's a myth here, all right? People often come to me and say, well, fair use means I can do whatever I want. I can use existing content. No, you can't. You really, really can't. So let me show you what the truth is, all right? Fair use isn't a YouTube policy. That's a misconception. People think it's a policy somewhere in the back of YouTube, the fair use YouTube policy. No, it's actually just a legal standard that was decided in US courts, all right? YouTube only automates takedowns based on the content ID system, and I'll explain this in a second. If your content gets flagged, only a strong legal argument, not YouTube appeal, can save it. So this is kind of where you're messing with the legal system now. So yes, YouTube seems like just posting content, getting paid, but you can fall into some funny traps in the legal system if you do the wrong thing and post the wrong stuff. All right, so the content ID system. All right, content ID system is essentially YouTube's ID system. It's an AI software that is built in and integrated into YouTube, which continuously, actively, and perpetually scans all the content on YouTube. It goes through, scans every single piece of content, and creates a database, a data log of every single piece of content. And now each video has its own content ID. It is tracked, it is logged with that content ID system. And YouTube knows exactly what that video is and every single frame of that video and what it looks like. So if you happen to post content yourself and those frames and the content you post match the existing content ID log of that original video, it's going to trigger a claim, right? YouTube will automatically send a notice to the original creator. Say I posted a video and somebody used my video and posted it on their channel, I will instantly get a claim that somebody used my content. And I can choose to then strike their channel. I could choose to send a copyright claim to their channel, or I could just choose to be a good person and send them an email, ask them to politely take it down. Simple, right? So this is basically the system that's in place to allow original creators to have that space and freedom and security to post content and be fairly compensated for it without people stealing it, and allows us to also take content. So now let me explain how that works, because now you're probably wondering, okay, well, if I steal someone's content, they're going to get a claim, I'm going to get in trouble. How do we make money? And that's the beauty. I'm going to explain to you exactly what transformative content means. And that's by understanding the 4 pillars. All right, so here's a legal test that creators should know inside and out, the 4 pillars of fair use. So first we have purpose of character of use. Purpose and character of use. All right, so are you actually transforming the content, or are you just summarizing it, is the main question. So some strong examples could be like a deep commentary, all right, educational breakdowns, parodies, or deep analyses. These are obviously very transformative pieces of content. So taking something, a concept like the history of Germany, the history of something, and doing a very deep commentary on it, or educational breakdown. This is now a very transformative video, right? A weak example could be something that just has minor edits. Just taking an original video, cutting out a couple seconds of it here and there, snipping it here and there, adding something basic, but still using the raw meat of that content and not actually making it transformative, not making any efforts to make it different than the original content. It's not going to pass, all right? Using a shallow voiceover, meaning a very cheap voiceover. If you use like a very cheap AI voiceover, sounds robotic, sounds fake, it's probably not going to pass. YouTube is actually trying to extract all that content or just get rid of all of it. They don't like it, the cheap voiceover stuff. You can use AI voiceovers, I promise you. It's perfectly fine. Just make sure it's a good quality one. Use 11 Labs, Artlist, something of quality, all right? And then reaction with little engagement. You can still react to content. I don't believe in that system at all. There are reaction channels that make a lot of money out there. I don't believe in the system. I just don't think it's a good system. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it doesn't have much weight to the whole thing, right? So if you're doing this reaction channel where you're just talking over the content 3 seconds at a time and letting a 10-minute clip run, which many people do, don't do that. All right. So the rule of thumb is that your message must overpower the original message, the original video, essentially. Right. So whatever you're doing that's transformative, your script, your voiceover, your edits, all this stuff, it should overpower the original video. It should not actually even look like the original video anymore. It should be like a Frankenstein, a combination of all these different clips and original content mashed up into one, alongside with your own original commentary, your own original perspective and opinions over that video, which is what is your script and voiceover. Every single video you create needs to have a script and a voiceover. You have to have it. That's what makes the video transformative and original. Script and voiceover. All right. Moving on to the second one is the nature of the source. All right. Where do you actually get your content from? So creative works such as movies, shows, sports clips, ads, these are high risk. All right. I still tell people they can go into movies and sports and shows. They can, but it is very risky. And there are ways to get around this. So you can still do the same niche and get around it by using more original content. Safer stuff could be like government public domain footage, factual reporting, body cam vlogs, stock video, images, AI created images or videos. Those are perfectly safe as well, So anything to do with like, again, the government public domain footage is literally like free footage you can use. It's public access. It's safe to use because it's given away copyright free and you can use it for your content. That's why, like, for example, just to be very transparent here, this channel who use Courtroom Consequences, they use public domain footage. That's actually protected, which means protected for you. You're protected of using it and you're not getting in trouble for monetizing that content, right? Still making it transformative. You're not just reposting the entire thing. You're still making it transformative, adding your own commentary, your voiceover, your thumbnails, your opinions, your editing, all this stuff that makes it original. The risk tip here is that big corporations have legal teams and they have tech and they strike aggressively. So be very, very careful, all right, when using this kind of stuff. I don't usually push people into sports. I don't always push people into movies. It's not actually the worst. I think sports is the hardest one to do, but there are specific ways to do sports and not get in trouble. My students know. And also, if you haven't already and are curious about how to execute this, you definitely, like most definitely, need to join my free school community. It is the first link in the description. It's going to take you to this page right here, this beautiful page. There's already 5,600 members in the community as of right now and growing, hundreds of people every single day. We go live twice a week with yours truly. I literally go live myself. I hop on here, answer all your questions, audit your thumbnails, titles, questions, feedback on everything. And we go deep dive, high level and low level coaching. And I also give you a free course starting from scratch if you're an absolute beginner or even advanced to help elevate your game or set up your channel from scratch, find yourself in the right niche, set up the right team. Massive course, guys. No one's giving away this kind of value. My free stuff's better than most people's paid stuff. That's just me speaking very boldly, just because you can just join the community and see for yourself. You can just take my opinion or take my word for it, or you can join the community and see for yourself. Thriving community, just join. It's free. All right. This is going to help you guys limit a ton of mistakes. Now, the next thing is the amount and substantiality of the content. So fair use is not really about how much. People mistake it. It's not about how much. It's about what. What do you take? Because using the most iconic moments of a film, even for 2 seconds, is considered high risk. This is where people get it wrong. Well, they said only use 2 seconds. Yeah, but that 2 seconds was the winning game of the clip, the football game. You took the winning shot and you used that winning shot. And that's why you can pose a risk, because it's like, that's the meat, that's the heart of the content. And you took it and extracted it, right? And in most cases, they don't care, but some cases they really do care. So it's better to use non-central excerpts, right? And embed them within layered narration and visuals. So you can take things that are just not as important and throw them in there and then layer them and compound them with other things like edits and images and animations and sound effects and all these things that make it now an original piece of content. It's no longer just taking the meat and potatoes of that original clip, throwing it on your video and then claiming it and making money off of it. They're just trying to avoid that, right? Imagine you spend a lot of time creating something amazing and you spend all this time building up to the main event, the main outcome, and someone just comes and steals your outcome, posts it on their video, on their channel, and their videos, and gets more and more credit, maybe way more views. It's not fair, right? So the last thing is the market effect. This is a key thing as well. Does your video replicate the need to go watch the original? That's a really good question. If yes, you're stealing market share and breaking fair use. So that's why I said it doesn't matter how much you take. It's about what you use specifically. An example, a compilation of viral videos that makes viewers skip the originals, right? So if you compile a specific thing, like for example, movie recaps. Movie recap channels are like the worst idea right now because you're basically taking the heart of the video, chopping it up into 15 minutes. So somebody doesn't have to watch an hour and a half movie. They can just watch 15 minutes and get the whole picture of the video because you've just literally taken every single scene, chopped up the most important parts, added a bit of voiceover on it, and called it a day. And so fantastic for you, but for the movie owners, they're going to lose viewers because then people no longer have to go and watch that movie anymore. That's the key, right? So strong fair use protects the original markets and adds new viewing intent. That's the key you guys all need to understand. So guys, this is where most faceless channels fall apart. They assume repurposing equals transforming. These are very, very different. Repurposing is not the same thing as transforming, but only true creative intent backed by editing and narrative context will survive the copyright filters long term. Because keep in mind here as well, I'm going to say one thing. Many people confuse this works for people slipping through the system, slipping through the cracks. There are plenty of channels out there that are doing NFL content and NBA content and stuff and using long clips, and they're monetized. You can see they're monetized. They're making money. And it begs the question, well, they can do it, then I can do it too. And it's working, obviously, because they're doing it. That's not the way it works because there's always outliers and exceptions to every single rule and every single system, right? YouTube is a software that is trying its best to keep up with this stuff and take down all this content, but there's tens and hundreds of thousands of channels out there posting this content. It takes time for this stuff to catch up, and it could take even months. And so seeing a channel, because for example, some people might come in the comments here on this video and say, hey, I seen a channel that's monetized doing this stuff and you said it doesn't work. Cool. There's exceptions to every single rule. But if you go post that content, are you going to get monetized? Are you going to get approved? Are you going to get hit with a lawsuit? Very well could. It very well could happen. So just because you see one or two people doing this and getting away with it doesn't mean it's your green light and indication to go. Because if 99.9% of the channels are failing or are getting hit with demonetizations or are getting hit with lawsuits, you probably should listen to the 99.9% and not the 1% or less of people that are managing to find their way to slip around it. Because there are some ways you can do this. Is other intermediary companies you can work under, where your channel is under an MCN and you have more protection on your channel. There's all these weird things that can happen. So don't take, looking at one of these channels at face value and taking judgment on how you should make your decisions, because there's an exception to every single rule and every single channel. So here's the thing, guys. I want you guys to avoid all this or use it with caution. Stuff like F1, NFL, things like films, movies, trailers, or TV clips, or anything to do with licensing companies, right? WWE is a strong copyright run as well. Lego, this stuff like that. They can come after you guys if you're using too much of their content or too much of the creative heart of their content, right? These companies have legal teams and detection tools, and they do enforce. So they not only use their legal teams to come after you, but they also have these detection tools that are also built in to YouTube, which allows them to have an extra filter system that really, really just finds your content and takes it down. The low risk stuff, all right, you can use carefully, but much more freely. Fan film clips, right? A stadium, phone footage, all that stuff. You can use that stuff freely. No one's going to come after you. All right. Still make it transformative. Don't just use the whole clip and don't modify it, right? Anything on public domain, any public domain footage you can use freely. There's no problem at all. Or police body cam government footage. Again, you can literally go through and use this stuff freely, still make it transformative, still add your voiceover, still add your opinions, still add some editing, and you're perfectly fine to use this content. No problem at all. So still risky, but much less likely to be flagged unless, again, if you add transformative content and credit. So guys, here are some best practices to stay 100% safe and never worry about copyright throughout your journey on YouTube, all right? Don't pull from just one clip. You need to mix sources and create a unique experience, meaning going back to the other analogy I gave you with the Frankenstein. You want to create a Frankenstein video, meaning take a piece from here, piece from here, piece from here, like these different videos, and chop them up into little pieces and grab a clip, put them together. You could split up and add some B-roll in between, all that stuff. So you can do stock footage, you could add TikTok clips, you could add graphs and B-rolls, meaning your own custom animations and stuff, and you could add some UGC and commentary, all this leading into engaging content. All right. This shows YouTube and courts, if they ever come after you, that you're creating and not copying. That's the key. You want to be creating, not copying. Be very careful here, guys. Be very, very careful here. The general thought is that under 10 seconds is safe. Well, no, that's false. This is something I want to talk to you guys about because I get asked this all the time. How many seconds? How many seconds? How many seconds? Is it 10 seconds? Is it 20 seconds? Is it 5 seconds? 3 seconds? 3 seconds of iconic content, for example, Darth Vader's line, is still risky. And courts don't care about the clip length. They care about the importance of that clip. This is, again, the massive misconception that people don't understand and find themselves getting in a lot of trouble or getting the channel taken down or whatever it is and not understanding why and what they did wrong. Because I used 10 seconds and someone told me 3 seconds. Guys, there's practical editing tricks that can help you avoid YouTube's content ID system. I'm going to teach them all to you here. Make sure you guys pay attention to this because if you're creating content or intending on creating content, you want to make sure that you fall within these parameters and you'll never get in trouble. And so for reference, guys, I don't want to scare you off as well. This business is not difficult. These are fundamentals that most editors know. And if they don't know, you can just send them this video and they'll know exactly what to do moving forward and ensure that they don't get in trouble and make mistakes. So mixing formats, right? So combining animation, news, TikTok, podcast elements, basically taking pieces and combining them together. Again, a Frankenstein video. The more you Frankenstein your video, the more you're chopping up from different pieces, the safer you will be. Custom voiceovers, adding a personalized voiceover between reused clips, meaning pretty much create a script for the video, add a voiceover, and have it overlay the entire video. And the more you do that, and the more of that voiceover that consumes the entire piece of content itself, the more original it is, the more transformative it is, and the less likely they are to come after you. All right, so pacing and structure, use a 10-second video clip followed by a 10-second voiceover, for example. Or in general, just have 10 seconds of clip and 10 seconds of voiceover. That's probably the safest bet, to be honest, but you can also follow this kind of rule as well. Adding effects, incorporating kinetic text, meaning like moving text and animated text, some filters, motion effects, or zooms. This is a key one, all right? So like I said, there's a content ID system that scans the content. It'll try and pair what it sees with the original content. But let's just say you did a zoom in on that video. You took someone's content, you decide to zoom it in slowly or zoom it out slowly or move it sideways or something. And then maybe you also flip the content. Maybe your editor decided to take that piece of content and reverse it. Not reverse it like backwards, like so it plays backwards, but flip the scene. Okay, well now YouTube's Content ID has to look past and try and like identify that video even though it's zooming in and it's reversed. Okay, and you add a filter on top too. Weird. Okay, now, and then maybe you made the video even smaller and condensed it. So now the pixels are not matching from edge to edge of the video. So now you've basically added all these layers of originality and kind of like edit to the video, which allows your video to be a lot more original and actually makes it much more difficult for the Content ID system to track your content and match it with the original person. So I'm not saying you could do this and still not add your voiceover and commentary and stuff, but it's just going to make it 10 times more difficult for them to find you. And then even if they do find you, you're still fine because you've made that video transformative and original. So it's just a combination of these things make the whole process so much easier, number one, and just safeguards you completely from getting in trouble at all. The next thing is layering audio, adding subtle background music or sound effects to enhance the video. So you always want to try and add some music, add the sound effects, add some emotion and flavor to the video, right? That's what, again, makes this whole thing way more transformative, way more original. So essentially create enough variation to confuse the bots and please human reviewers in the instance that your stuff gets claimed and people have to check it. Now, with all this knowledge, you need to ask yourself, there's two different paths you guys can take. You can do the quick cash, risky repost, which is short-lived, or and end up like this guy with a bunch of copyright claims and strikes and a lot of lawsuits. Or you can take path number two, which is original and transformative content, the long-term income that I always boast to people. If you really want to be making long-term income, 10K a month, 5K a month, 20K a month, consistently, passively, sustainably, predictably, then I would just avoid doing the short-lived BS. All right. By short-lived, by the way, I also mean like don't do shorts. This is just my personal preference. You guys can take whatever I say with a grain of salt. You can listen to me or not listen to me. I genuinely don't care. I'm here to only deliver value based on what I know. And what I know is based on the back of data and evidence of over 1,000 students that have worked with me in the past 5 years. I have so much data to back up everything I say. It's not just me who started a bunch of channels, which I have started a bunch of channels, and I have a bunch of data from my own experiences. But I also have a coaching program with over 1,000 students. So much data collected, I can tell you exactly what works and doesn't work. And that's the best part about having a coaching program is the amount of data we're able to collect. And so what I know for a fact is that if you want the long-term income, you want this like real estate, passive, growing income that compounds over time, that's long-term income, right? That's like the original path, the transformative path. If you want this like quick repost, like compilations and sneaky like black hat stuff that it might work for a little bit, but usually gets your channel taken down, that's fine. You will have short-lived income and you're not going to enjoy it. It's going to make this whole thing an absolute nightmare, a headache. They can shut down your AdSense accounts. They can come after you for your earnings. They can do all this stuff. It's not worth it. So number one, I don't believe in shorts. My opinion, guys, do whatever you want with that information. I just don't think it's great. I think it's very short-lived income. Those channels always die. They're very hard to grow. They're tedious. They're just very hard to crack. I like the long form stuff. It's real, it's raw, it's organic, it's natural content that people are here to watch on YouTube. Right? If you want to make short-term content, short-form content, go to TikTok. I just don't think YouTube is the best platform for this, especially number one, the way it pays, and the fact that these channels never last. They always die. I've had plenty of shorts channels. They always die. The income just never sustains. So like I said, long story short, the choice isn't about effort. It's about whether you are strategic. That's the main key, guys. So like I said, you can do this journey alone, or you guys can join us over here in the free school community. Again, I'm just going to say first link in the description, shameless plug. I don't think there's any reason you guys shouldn't join because number one, it's free. Number two, you get to spend a lot of time with me personally on call, live, answering all your questions. If you want us to review your channel, I do that myself. If you have any ideas of prospective niches you want to get into and you want some, clarity, some confidence in that decision, that's what I'm here for, guys. And if you want to work with me personally, we also have a paid program if you'd like to work with us one-on-one. So basically working with me hands-on, having your own coach. We have 11 calls a week, not 2 calls a week. And we also guarantee results in 6 months. But it is a 4-figure investment given how much input, how much time, and the guarantee that's involved around the entire investment. So yeah, thank you guys for joining this video. If you haven't already seen my 13 or 14 different niches that are guaranteed to get demonetized video, it's going to be on one of these corners. I highly suggest you guys watch that. I'll see you guys in the next video, or I'll see you in the school community.